When we hear the story of living in the stomach of a fish, the story of Yunus, the prophet of Islam, comes to our mind first. But I will tell that story later today. First, let's visit Banaparva or forest episode of Mahabharata of Hindu religion. The story of Banaparva is found in the third of the 18 episodes of the epic Mahabharata. This episode describes the exile period of the Pandavas, the teachings they received from various sages, and how those teachings helped shape their character. But today, without telling the detailed story of Banaparva, we will go directly to the incident of the journey in the stomach of the fish. After the exile of the Pandavas, Bhima's son Ghatotkacha was born in Hidimba's house. The son of Bhima, Ghatotkacha, was known as a mighty warrior. One day he was out hunting, and after wandering all day he was thirsty and went to a lake to drink water. While Ghatotkacha was drinking water, suddenly a huge fish came out of the water and swallowed him. After entering the belly of the fish, Ghatotkacha at first did not understand where he was. Later, he lit a torch inside the belly of the fish and looked around. Then he discovered him inside a big fish. At this point, Ghatotkacha became helpless and prayed to Lord Shiva for help. He prayed for 3 consecutive days and 3 nights, and on the 4th day, Lord Shiva appeared before him and blessed him. With the power of that blessing, Ghatotkacha was freed from the belly of the fish and came out of the belly of the fish to the edge of the lake. This version of the story can be found in the Banaparva of the Mahabharata. Now let's look at the story of Prophet Yunus or Jonah mentioned in the Quran and the Bible. God sent Prophet Yunus to the people of Nineveh to guide them to the right path. But the people of Nineveh refused to listen to the prophet Yunus and continued to live in sin and injustice as before. Disappointed by the behavior of the people of Nineveh, Prophet Yunus planned to leave the city and boarded a ship. While he was on the ship, a violent storm arose, and the other passengers and sailors on the ship began to think that the storm was caused by Prophet Yunus. All the passengers of the ship threw Prophet Yunus into the sea, and a huge fish swallowed him. Prophet Yunus realized his mistake while inside the belly of that huge fish. He realized that he should not have left Nineveh to abandon the responsibility entrusted to him. After realizing this, Prophet Yunus repented to God for his actions. He prayed to God for forgiveness from inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, and prayed to get rid of this danger. After 3 days, God forgave him and instructed the fish to release Prophet Yunus. Prophet Yunus returned to Nineveh and found that the people had repented of their sins and were now following the right path. The prayer that Yunus was supplicating to God when he was in the belly of the fish is mentioned in the Quran as follows. And remember Yunus, when he left his people in anger and thought, I will not be harsh on him. Then he called out from the belly of the fish, There is no true God but you, holy and great. Surely I am a transgressor. Then I answered his call and delivered him from danger. And thus we deliver the believers who believe in the oneness of God, abstain from evil and do good. Surah Al-Anbiya 21, verse 87 to 88. In the book of Jonah, chapters 1 and 2, verses 1 to 10 of the Bible, Jonah, after going into the belly of the fish, is described as asking God for forgiveness and being released. Therefore, Prophet Yunus of Abrahamic religions, which includes Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, is undoubtedly the same person. We will discuss the events of Quran and Mahabharata in comparison. The story of Prophet Yunus in the Quran and the story of Ghatotkacha in the Mahabharata, are the similarities between them coincidental or forced matching? Let's check some points. 1. Both were swallowed by a huge fish, a remarkable event compared to any religious or mythological story. 2. Both were imprisoned for 3 days and 3 nights. That is, in both stories, the human characters spent 3 days and 3 nights imprisoned in the fish's stomach before being released. 3. Both Prophet Yunus and Ghatotkacha prayed continuously to be released from the belly of the fish, and after 3 days of prayer, God answered both of them, and both came out of the belly of the fish safely. 4. Both stories emphasize man's obedience to God's commands. Yunus is punished for disobeying God and turning away from the Ninevites, while Ghatotkacha is punished for actually disobeying God for disobeying his mother's orders, and both realized their mistakes by staying inside the belly of a fish. This realization brought them success in the next life. Prophet Yunus was successful with his people, and Ghatotkacha was successful in battle. There is a difference in the cultural and religious context between these two stories, but the similarities seem to tell us that these stories are different versions of the same event: a man being swallowed by a fish and spending 3 days in the fish's belly before being freed. The same event in 2 or more religions or cultures with different guises is a rarity in mythology. This indicates that these 2 stories come from the same source. It is also possible that the story originated in one culture and was later adapted to another culture. That is why there is some variation in details and context. If we read Quran along with Mahabharata closely to get into the core sense of these 2 stories, then one word comes before our eyes, that is patience. This story teaches you to try to the end without breaking down in any situation. Through this, the Almighty is telling us that success will come if we realize our mistakes and strive hard.